morning, everyone, or good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are in the world today. Welcome to Best Practices for Virtual Hiring Events. I'm Brooke Prouty, the Director of Digital Programs at Hiring Our Heroes, and we're fortunate today to be joined by some of our friends at Brazen, who will be presenting today's presentation. A couple of housekeeping notes before we begin. First of all, when the presentation takes place, the chat function will be live. Sarah, who you may see on screen right now, from Brazen will be answering questions in the chat. If you have general question and answer type questions that you'd like to be addressed after the presentation, you can enter those at any time using the Q&A feature that you see there on your screen. If you have any other questions, our host in the event is also here for technical support. You can message the host through the chat function as well. With that in mind, we can go ahead and get started. As I mentioned, we'll be talking about best practices for virtual hiring events. Today, we're joined by Colin McKnight and Sarah Banover from Brazen. Colin's the Director of Business Development and also an Enterprise Account Manager. Sarah is a Senior Account Manager. And we're fortunate here today to have them talk to us about the general virtual hiring fair experience, and also for those of you who are currently registered for or hoping to register for some of the Hiring Our Heroes fall virtual career events. You can find those registrations on our events calendar now. All of our fall events are open at hiringourheroes.org/events. Again, that URL is hiringourheroes.org/events. You can find our full virtual event schedule there that's open for registration now. So if you're looking forward to joining us for an event that you're already registered for, or if you're interested in potentially registering for an upcoming event, today's session will really help you out in terms of knowing what to expect, how to make the most of that experience, and then if you have any specific questions about how to accomplish something that you're looking to do, we can get those questions answered today. So without further ado, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Colin. Again, feel free to use that chat if you have questions during the presentation, or if you have questions for the end, you can enter them in the Q&A at any time. Thanks so much. Colin, over to you.
Perfect. Thank you all for joining here. I'll share my screen in just a moment and go through some best practices for those that have signed up or are thinking of signing up for one of the HOH events on best practice, some housekeeping stuff. I'll trim through that pretty briefly. And then I'll show you the event atmosphere, what it looks like for both candidates and representatives joining the event. Just a couple things for those of you that saw this, signed up for it, don't really know too much about Brazen. We are a virtual career fair platform company. This is all we do. That's our bread and butter. We've been around for about 11 years and really just focus in on these events. So we've been around way before, pre-pandemic. So a few things that we do is we work with companies like HOH, where they host expo career fairs. Multiple employers join these events and chat with candidates who are interested in learning more about your opportunities. And then we also have a different side of our business where it's single employers who also host their own events and attend events like HOH on the side. So we have two parts of our virtual platform. So just know going into this, if you like what you see, you like your event experience, that we also have enterprise accounts where you can host your own affairs on the side. So let me go ahead. I'm going to stop sharing my camera because I'm going to turn my camera on during the demo. I'm going to share my screen and go over some best practices and then run through a demo. So let's see here. All right. So Brazen virtual events overview, what to do before the event, and then live demo training. So I'll hit on all of these, but just a couple of things to think about for those of you, thinking about signing up for one of the HOH events, or if you've already signed up. I just want to hit on some housekeeping items right away. So it's fresh in your mind before I go into the weeds here and show you how the platform works and looks like. So feel free to ask any questions through that chat feature throughout the chat. Sarah is on standby to answer those, and we'll also leave time at the end to answer any additional questions. So sometimes it's easier when they're fresh in your mind to just ask them before you forget. So don't be shy. So just a high level overview. We are a virtual career fair platform. You will be granted access to the event beforehand, depending on how HOH has this set up. You will be added as a booth owner to create, edit, and manage your booth. So if you have interest in attending one of these events, you will have the ability to create, customize, and add your team to your booths. So you'll want to do that well in advance of the event. I have some customers, won't name names, that love waiting till last minute because everyone's busy, especially for those working from home. Everyone's just slammed, who wait last minute to create their booths and add their team. That's not a habit you want to get into. You want to create your booths, add your team, be comfortable with the platform, and good to go well in advance of your event. And when you log in, it's going to look slightly different than this screen here. This is just to give you a sneak peek of the inside of a platform. You will immediately see your booths you're staffed under. So we make it super easy for your team to navigate, go to your booth, make your edits, add your team. We also have Brazen Live, which is a live webinar feature that I'll hit on as well, where you can host your own live webinars. Candidates can go and attend these within the event platform. And everything within our platform is mobile friendly. Everything is mobile friendly. There's no app, there's no download. And the reason I hit on that is because I have a mixed bag of recruiters that, may be on the go, not nowadays, right? At the airport or whatnot, you don't have access to their laptop. You can pull your phone out, as a worst case scenario if your internet goes down, and attend one of these events. And for candidates as well, we know approximately about 85% of them signing up and showing up for these events are mobile users. So it all looks just like you see here on this screenshot to fit your phone nicely. All right, so I'll go through this slide here again for those of you attending one of these upcoming events. I would definitely pay attention here because just the number one main thing that I see is people will sign up, they'll create their booth, add their team, but then day of the event will happen and they're not sure how to log in. So the moment you log into Brazen, once you sign in, you'll be granted the opportunity to add it to your calendar. Once you add it to your calendar, it'll sync up with your calendar and we give you a URL that you could click on right to the event. The easiest way to go is if you go to brazen.com, we have a nice big login button on the top right hand corner. This is the URL as well if you want to bookmark this. All you do is just go to that, log in with the email that was used to add you to the booth. You log in with that email. The moment you log in with that email, you're immediately going to see your upcoming events and you'll see your HOH event in there. That's one thing I want to hit on as well. Make sure you do use your work account or whatever email was used to add you to the event. That's probably the number one issue I see is we do offer some SSO options you can log in with, right? LinkedIn, YouTube, Gmail. 9 times out of 10, those are synced up with your personal email and people will quickly log in with one of those options. When you log in with one of those options, it's going to pull your personal email, not going to sync up with your work email. It's going to recognize you as a candidate. So make sure you do log in with your work email. Another thing, don't wait last minute. If you're a booth owner creating your booth and adding your team, make sure your team does not wait last minute to RSVP and add it to their calendar. You'll also be able to log into Brazen at any point and see if your team has RSVP'd, so you can see who's registered and who hasn't. And also make sure that your team checks their spam folder because the email reminders are automated. So we just want to make sure those don't get filtered to their spam. Another thing, and I'll hit on this during the demo, prepping your Q&As. So you'll see our events start out text-based. If it's your first virtual event, you may be trying to think of questions on the fly, typing them out, proofreading. It takes time. I would recommend having a Word doc, a shared doc with your team, coming up with short Q&As, right? Keep in mind, all text-based. And I always tell folks, think about the mobile users. If you send someone a huge paragraph right away, it's intimidating if you're on your phone. So short, sweet questions and answers, have them prepped so your team can be consistent. And then you could actually save those to your profile so you could keep attending this these events with HOH, and you'll get very quick with the platform. All right. And then lastly, making sure, it's a live platform, right? It's a live platform, making sure that your browsers are up to date. I used to be one to blame for this as well. I always hated, and updates available. Remind me tonight, try again. Make sure everything is up to date. A lot of these browsers, especially with everyone working from home nowadays, there's a lot of updates happening to make sure the internet can withstand all of these folks and security and all that good stuff. So make sure your browser is up to date. We work on all browsers, but I highly recommend using Chrome. Just Chrome works seamlessly. And then it's a given, have strong internet. With a lot of folks working from home, sometimes internet can be slow depending on how many people are on the internet. So just make sure you have strong internet, and our system will show you what your connection looks like. And then the one thing I want to hit on as well while I'm on this slide, you will have this email that says repsupport@brazen.com sent to you in the automated email that I'll show you once you've been added to the event. I highly recommend saving this. If you forget your password, if your team has never seen Brazen before and doesn't know how to get in line to chat, anything at all, don't reach out to Sarah. Sarah's the account manager. She's going to help, strategize and do trainings like this. Rep Support is live support for the event. So they're going to get in touch with you right away, make sure they can reset your password if you put in too many incorrect attempts and all that good stuff. And then lastly, if you visit support.brazenconnect.com, we do have resource links that I could show you where you can go to, aside from this training here, to just give you a refresher on training. You could watch pre-recorded videos, you could share it with your team and all that good stuff. That all being said, I'm going to now switch on over to a presentation of the platform. So I am going to start from the top here. I'm going to start as if I were a candidate, so everyone can get the whole picture on the platform. I'm going to flip back and forth about 3 times from the candidate view and the recruiter view. So you'll see both ends of it. And then I'm going to hit on some training along the way with the recruiter view. So, how this would work from a candidate's perspective, right? Hire Our Heroes is going to do their marketing efforts. They do what they do great. They're going to bring the candidates to the event. Candidates will see their material, click on a link, and be brought here. This is the landing screen. They will also see if Hire Our Heroes has it enabled, exhibitors attending the event, information about the event. There's even training videos for the candidates. And just know, for the candidates, we also send them training videos, email reminders. We start a text campaign as well automatically, so they'll know how to use the platform. They'll enter the event. We have different landing screens, so it might look slightly different depending on the Hire Our Heroes event. They will enter the event and sign up. I'm automatically logged into the event right now just because I am doing the demo, but they would have insert their email, their password, and all of that good stuff to be brought into the event. And I'm going to flip my screen here and show you what that looks like, because I want to show you the SSO. All right, so when a candidate hits enter here, you see these SSO options. This is what I was talking about from the representative view as well. If you log into Brazen, make sure you don't choose any of these options unless your work account is tied to them. A candidate will sign up, put in their credentials, and be all set. All right, and they have to get their password right. All right, so now it's bringing the candidate into the event. And again, we are going to send them reminders about the event and all that good stuff. They'll log in day of. You can ask candidates pre-qualification questions. These are all features that Hire Our Heroes is, has control over, not you all, but this is just the candidate's experience. So the candidate will pass these questions if they're enabled. And then they're brought to a registration form, and this is essentially their profile. And this is all going to come into play because it's going to be visible when you're connected to the candidate. And you'll know what I mean in just a moment. But the candidate will fill out their information. They can upload their resume. They can hit submit. They could always update this at any point, even during the live event. If someone didn't upload their resume beforehand, they could do that during. So you'll have access to this during the chat. So this candidate would have hit submit, then the campaign starts, training videos, they log in day of, and then we give them some more instructions on how to participate. They'll then enter your event and it's officially going live. And our platform, while this is going live, it's really transparent with your view. And so it's going to look very similar. So the candidates come in. For this demo, I have a random video of Hire Our Heroes that plays automatically. Everything in the platform can be customized, so this may look completely different for your event. But you can have multiple videos, hyperlinks out, and again, Hire Our Heroes is in control over the side panel here. This is what the lobby looks like. So the candidate comes in, they'll see a list of all the employers here. They can update their registration at any point and even search booths by keyword, where you can create your own tags. And so I'll go into this when you go into your booth and design it, but you'll see here when I hit advanced search, if I'm a candidate and there's 50 employers at my event, I only want to look up employers by category of banking and loan opportunities. Oh, IBM has an opportunity for me. So there is that option for you to add your own tags to your booth. So a candidate's going to see all the booths. They'll go to the booth they're interested in. And then each booth can be customized. So everything you're seeing right now, right? Envision an in-person event. You go to an in-person event, you reserve a table or a booth. You're in charge of bringing your own tchotchkes, your team, and all that good stuff. So a candidate comes to your booth just like a in-person. You can design your booth to have upwards to 3 tabs. You can hyperlink out in your booth. You could even put in videos. And this goes into that best practice where I said, don't wait last minute to design your booth, because some companies have to go through, approval for certain images and all that good stuff. So you just want to make sure you can design your booth well in advance. You'll then start adding your team. Once you start adding your team, they'll be listed here on the right-hand side. There's just one recruiter in this booth here today. But if you have multiple folks, they'll be listed here so the candidates can have a general idea on who's in the booth. All right, so when the candidate's ready, they'll hit chat. And then we have our own proprietary Smart Queue features here. So let's say you come to this event, it has hundreds of people. You may want to chat with the most qualified folks first. You have the ability to enable or disable this. So let's say you're asking candidates in this instance which opportunity they're most interested in. This candidate says, I'm interested in the cloud consultant role. You can ask them upwards to 7 questions, and based on their selection, we are going to rank the candidate and put them in queue from most qualified to least qualified to connect with you. All the candidates still get to connect with you. We're just kind of bumping the line up a bit with most qualified folks. So they're in line waiting to chat. Candidates can also go to different booths as well. So they're not like an in-person event, right? You're stuck in line at an in-person. Virtual, they can go in multiple booths if they want, wait in line, and they're going to be automatically connected to the next representative across those booths. Flipping over now to your view, your team is going to log in, right, through a couple different options. Once you start creating your booth, adding your team is going to start getting emails that look just like this. You've been added to this upcoming event, RSVP, add it to your calendar. You can go to brazen.com, bookmark it. You have those options. We will also send you a reminder email about the event, and you can go through that email as well to log in. You'll simply log in, and it looks just like this. We show you the booths that you're assigned under. I'll talk about this booth in just a moment. You could ignore it for now. And we have the ability, and I'm not sure if this is enabled or not for the Hire Our Heroes event, but if it is, you have the ability to search registrants before and during your event. So if I wanted to look up registrants by their registration info, Maybe I'm only interested in folks that have a bachelor's degree, for example. I hit apply. I could see, oh, Joe Smith has a bachelor's degree. I could review Joe's information, resume, all of that good stuff. I could also ping Joe. When I ping Joe, Joe's going to get a nice email from me that I can edit saying, love your credentials, really looking forward to chatting with you. Come to my IBM booth day of, and I could hit send. This is going to be a nice little warm touch for the candidate and entice them to come to the event, right? If you put yourself in their shoes, you get this email directly from a recruiter, you're probably more inclined to come to the event and go to your booth. So your team will log in. Your recruiters will get the training videos as well. We also have a support site that I'll share with you and Sarah can share with you that has pre-recorded trainings that your team can use as a resource. It's about a 6-minute training covering everything I'm hitting on today. And they'll log in and we show them their booths and they'll immediately go to their booth. Hit enter. And again, our platform is very transparent, looks very similar to the candidate's view. I think I'm logged in here twice. There we go. And then all you do, and this is the number 3 mistake I see from folks who probably don't watch the training videos. They log in, they go to their booth, they think they're automatically going to be connected to someone when they hit enter. You have to hit the green chat button. When you hit the green chat button, the system is then going to put you in line. You see that I filled up in green there, and then it's going to search for the next qualified candidate in the queue. Once that happens, the connection's automatically made. You do not have to do anything. It's a round robin fashion. First candidate that clicked chat is going to be connected with the first recruiter or sourcer who clicked chat. Here on my screen is a snippets feature. So I hit on in the opening slides, right? Put together questions and answers for your team. This is going to make your lives super easy. When you put those Q&As together, we're reminding you that you get to save those Q&As during your live event to your profile. So you'll get very fast. I'll show you how that works. So when the connection's made, you're going to see the candidate's profile. So Joe Smith from DC, all of Joe's information, and this was that registration form I showed you in the beginning from the candidate view. This is where it comes to play. You have the SmartQ questions, what they answered, how they answered them. You even have the resume where you could view the full size or download the PDF right from within the platform. So like an in-person event, right? They come up to your booth with a resume in hand. What the registration really helps you with is those little questions that you would have asked the candidate with that resume in your hand. Most of them are going to be already filled out here. So you're just diving into the meaty stuff right from the get-go. Here you're going to see a timer going down. For the demo today, I have it set for 4-minute chats. Most events, you know, I can almost guarantee that the Hire Our Heroes events are higher than 4 minutes. I'll say the average event chat times are 8, 10, 12 minutes. That's really up to the host, Hire Our Heroes. So that will count down for both candidates and recruiters, so visible on both ends. But what the candidate does not know is that your team has the ability at the 2-minute warning, and a nice prompt will show up on your screen saying, Colin, you have 2 minutes left with this candidate. Do you need to extend this chat to 5 or 10 minutes? If you do not select an option, hey, no problem. You don't have to feel bad or anything like that. But if you select an option that I'll show you in about 35 seconds here, the time will increase. So this is all text-based. So here I'm asking the candidate, what brings you in today? I could really dive into the weeds with questions, right? If I take my mouse, and I'll hit on this twice here, if I take my mouse and hover over any question or answer that I think I might ask this candidate or another candidate again, whether it's in this event or future events, all you do is take your cursor, scroll over that Q&A, and you're seeing this clipboard pop up with this plus sign. All you do is hit that plus sign once. Right next to this emojis, that same clipboard, you'll see I have a bunch of these saved, right? You can find old ones, you can edit these, there's a trash can, and these are your personal snippets. So if I'm a recruiter in IBM's booth, and I save a bunch of these to my profile, they're not showing up to Jane Doe next to me, who's also staffing this booth with me. Everyone has to save their own. So that's why coming up with those Q&As ahead of time, pasting them in here and saving them during your live event is the best way to go about it. Here's that prompt. So again, the candidate does not see this extension. So I could keep on chatting. The time goes in red. We're notifying the candidate that time is running out. Let's keep going. But if I choose an option, the time does increase. You get this option once. So 2, 5, or 10 minutes, right? I went right for 10 minutes. From a best practice standpoint, I actually don't recommend using 10 minutes. Right now, your chat turned into a 20-minute chat. And you always want to keep in the back of your mind that there's other candidates in this event waiting to chat. And so when you choose one of those options, it's increasing the wait time. And also, it's harder to break off a chat when you still have 10 minutes left. So I would recommend choosing 2 or 5, but if you really need 10 minutes, choose 10. Another feature, and if folks have attended a Brazen event in the past and you haven't used this, folks always kick themselves when they find out about this. We have our own greeting feature. So typing out, hello, what brings you in today, 120 times per event is painful. So you can set up a greeting, and let me re-click it so you can see where that is. When you're engaged in your first chat, this is where you can set up the greeting. So typically, if you ask a candidate, tell me about your experience in XYZ, they're going to take a minute, review their, type it out, review it, proofread it, all that good stuff, and send it off. So while they're doing that, I would recommend setting up a greeting where you can hit that little option, greeting. What happens is the system is going to drag in the candidate's name. So when you set up this greeting, hi, what brings you in today, and hit save, the next candidate you're connected to in this event, it's going to say, hey, Sarah, what brings you in today? Hey, Jane, what brings you in today? So it saves you a ton of time. And I recommend keeping that short and sweet and have it end in a question. Because when you send that off, or the system sends it off on your behalf, the candidate's going to start typing, and you'll see immediately when they're typing here, you'll have a nice prompt. You can then start reviewing their information. So always have a question, start reviewing their information. Another feature that we have that the candidate does not know, you have the ability to do from your end, is we have a video and audio option. So if the candidate wanted to if the representative staffing your booth wanted to take it one step further and offer a one-on-one video, all you do is offer video. And the easiest analogy to think of, which makes these features great, long story short, we used to be integrated with Skype. It required the candidate to have an app on Skype and then their ID. So it was patchy. And the same thing with Zoom, if you've ever done it from your phone. So we created our own, and the easiest analogy to think of is it's like FaceTime. Pops up on their device, they accept or decline. If they accept, we turn on their camera, we carry over the timer. So we carry over the timer. If I never extended this chat, at the 2-minute warning, I can still extend, and the time would increase. So this is to make it, take it one step further with this candidate, and now you're interactive, you're face-to-face, right? And if they decline, you'd get a nice big decline on your screen, just similar to FaceTime. Maybe you want to do the audio route, right? Not everyone's camera ready. You can offer them a one-on-one audio call. So again, we have the phone right here, and most folks have smart devices now. All we do is enable their microphone, accept or decline, and we'll carry over your recruiter headshot. So that's another point I do want to hit on is when you sign up for Brazen, when you're added to your booth and you log in for your first time, even for those of you that have been in Brazen before, at the top right-hand corner of the screen when you log in, you can edit your profile. So you can update with a headshot. I honestly recommend if you were connected with a candidate if you were connected with a recruiter and they had just a stock image, it's less personal. So I recommend putting in a headshot if you can. You could even put in a LinkedIn bio about yourself and all that good stuff. So the headshot will carry over here. And that's the chat, right? So just text-based, timed. When the chat does end, this is what ties everything together. I think it's the most important part of the platform. You're going to be required to rank the candidate based on your chat. So based on my chat with this candidate, I can put them in a bucket. And so this is going to help your team out with, going back in the system and seeing your top candidates. So maybe this candidate needs to be interviewed. Any notes about the candidate? You could prevent candidates from chatting in your booth more than once. And remember this, right? If I'm Joe Smith, I come to the IBM booth. I had a chat with Sarah. Chat didn't go too well. I want to go back in IBM's booth and connect with a different recruiter. It's a little repetitive. So you can prevent candidates from having more than one chat in your booth, and it will tell the candidate, hey, you've reached your chat limit in this booth, go check out other employers. When I hit finished here as a recruiter, so one thing to note too before I hit finish, this notepad, I've seen new users get carried away with this during the live event where they spend a lot of time just focused on this notepad, putting in a bunch of notes. You can access this after the event. 6 months from this event date, the recruiters can log into Brazen, view their chat history, edit their notes, the transcripts for their personal chats only. So I would mark 30 minutes on your calendar after this event ends and go in and make sure you edit your ratings, your notes, because you'll be able to review the chat transcripts, put in the right stuff. And then in addition, right, you could also follow up with the candidates. So if I hit follow up, you have the ability to email candidates from our platform. So when you click email, it drags in the candidate's email, your email, gives you a body you can edit as well. So when I hit this box, it's already pre-filled, it's going to then send the email to your work account. So it extracts it from Brazen. So you're not manually copying and pasting candidate emails to your email. So a nice way to email the candidate, I'll say the most popular option is forward. So let's say you're chatting with a bunch of these candidates, right? You have 20 minutes, 30 minutes on your calendar after the event. You go through all these candidates, you start editing your notes, all that good stuff. I can hit forward. Maybe Sarah's the hiring manager. I can put in Sarah's email, or in this instance, Kelly, who's my colleague. When I put in Kelly's email, Kelly is going to get all of this candidate's registration information, the rating, the resume, and chat transcript, including my notes. So it's nice and bundled up in one email, and it's an easy handoff where you can send it to your colleague saying, take a look at this candidate. I think they're a great fit for your rec. You may want to follow up with them. Here's all their credentials and their chat. And again, you could CC your work account, so it will send you an email right to your inbox. The last thing that's really useful as well, that's easy to set up after your first chat, is when you hit schedule follow-up, it could be tedious, right? Going back and forth with scheduling times after any event. If you have any of the free extensions, Calendly, Schedule Once, all you do is put in the URL to your Calendly. It's then going to automatically send an email that you can edit if you want to the candidate. It's going to drag in their name. Hey, Joe, interested in next steps with you. Please select a time to chat further. It will also drag in your calendar link and your name. All you do is hit next. And now by the time this event ends, or even 2 weeks from now, candidates are going to be booking time on your calendar. When you hit finished, all of this data will sync up to your profile. So when I hit finished here, it's going to automatically, in reality, right, for most events, when you hit finished, you would not even see this screen if the event's busy. You're automatically going to be connected to the next candidate. For this demo, there's only one candidate. I just ate up that candidate. That's it. No more chats. But you would be automatically in the next chat. Your greeting would have been sent off, and you're hitting the ground running. So if you do save 30 minutes after the event, or you have an interview with the candidate next week, right? And it's Thursday next week, you have this interview, you can't remember who you chatted with. You can log into Brazen, and you'll have a history tab. You pick the event, you go into the event, hit history, and then it's going to show you all of the chats you had in this specific event. So in this demo, I had one chat with one person, Joe Smith, rated for interview. I could edit my notes. So maybe I can't remember what I chatted with Joe about. I could review the chat transcript. Okay, Joe's certified in XYZ. I can go in, edit my notes if I want. Maybe Joe actually needs to be screened further. I could even forward this off to the colleague or email the candidate or schedule follow-up from this screen as well. So you do have those features from the platform after the event. I'm going to flip on over one more time to the candidates view real quick. So I want to show you something we call Brazen Live that may or may not be in the event that you all are participating in, but it is a feature Brazen has that, you know, again, I don't want to cross the line. Maybe it is being used in one of your events. Sarah, you can step in afterwards to talk about this, but we do offer webinar booths that Hire Our Heroes can be, you know, having during your event, or an employer can be having a webinar during your live event. So in this demo, I only have one webinar booth. Candidates can filter by webinar booth. Here it says video broadcast booths. There's one that pops up. When a webinar booth is created, it's going to ask, when do you want your webinar to start? In this instance, I have it starting from 10 to 11:45, and a message is automatically sent to the candidates 2 minutes before it starts saying, hey, while you're waiting in line in the IBM booth, go check out this live stream. Hire Our Heroes is going to be presenting, you know, best practices and interview tips. Candidates can go to that booth. They could see a pre-broadcast banner, information about the stream. Each streaming booth can have upwards to 4 people in 4 different locations. And you could choose whether or not you want to enable or disable a discussion feed. On the back end, your team, whoever has a webinar booth, if it's being used, will log in, simply see their webinar booth, no installation or anything like that. You would go in, hit enter, and then it's going to show you a different kind of view here. So this is going to show you how many candidates are currently in the booth, if there's anyone networking. And then when you're ready, you can enable your camera, and this is essentially a green room where no one can see you. You're doing a dry run with your team, you're presenting a deck if you want, a keynote, and then when you're ready, you just hit play and record, and now you're streaming to the entire audience who's in this booth. And so what make these kind of booths powerful is if IBM had a 40-minute wait time, I can go in this booth, get resume advice, and the system is going to automatically pull me out of here and connect me with IBM when it's my turn. So we're trying to make it as least amount of steps for the candidate as possible and trying to buy time, keep them in the event. I won't hit too much on best practices with that. I can leave that up to Sarah just in case that is or is not being used on one of the upcoming events here, but definitely want to highlight that just in case. So just to recap everything, because that's the spiel from both best practices, candidates view, representatives view, a few things to kind of hit on before, you know, opening it up to questions. Number one, don't wait last minute, right? Make sure if you're granted access to your booth as a booth owner, you're going to get an automated email from Brazen saying, congrats, you've been added to your booth as a booth owner. Here's how to design your booth and add your team. We send you a training video in there as well. You go into Brazen as soon as you can, create your booth. You can reach out to our support team and you'll have their email in one of the automated emails we send you. If you don't know how to upload an image, if you don't know how to upload a video, they're happy to hold your hand through that. So reach out to them at any point. And then add your team as soon as you can. Add your team as soon as you can. And the moment you RSVP for your event, make sure you add it to your calendar. And then, you know, you could go to brazen.com and hit login as an alternative route. And then on that note, when you do log in, I can't stress this enough, make sure you use your work account. Probably one of the number one tickets we get is I'm logged in as a candidate, and then we find out, hey, you used, you know, Gmail, which is tied to your personal account. So make sure you log in with that. We are GDPR friendly, so you have 5 attempts to get your password correct. We will prompt you if how many attempts you have left remaining. So if you're on your last attempt, we give you 5 attempts. Make sure you just hit forgot password. If not, a big prompt will show up on your screen that your account's locked and to reach out to our team to reset. So when in doubt, hit that forgot password. And then, the last thing is making sure you have Q&As prepped and ready to go for your team so everyone can be consistent. And then that rating screen I showed you, right? At the end where you can rate the candidate based on your chat, you want to make sure your team's all on the same page. Hey, what qualifies for interview or screen further? And then what happens is when you get a report back, it's going to show the booth owner everything on how your event performed. So in IBM, my recruiters had this many chats with these candidates and they were rated interview and not a fit. So you just want to make sure your team's consistent with the ratings. So that report's going to be very accurate for IBM in this case to go after those top candidates. And then keep in mind, you're only allowed to see your personal chats 6 months from the event date. So if I log in and I want to see my colleague Jane Doe's chats, I can't. I can only see my personal chats due to privacy. And that is it. So the last thing to show you outside of the platform before opening it up to questions, we do have a support site that is awesome for both, hire our heroes, recruiters, candidates, whoever. Support.brazenconnect.com. You go in here, you can type in anything you want, and it's going to pop up some resources for you. So rep training, for example. If I type in rep training, it's then going to populate any links that are relative or related to rep training. Here it has booth owner training, right? How to design your booth. How do I participate in a live event? When you go in here, it's going to give you a pre-recorded video that you could watch that sums up pretty much everything I just hit on today. Best practices as well. But in addition, we also host live trainings every Tuesday and Thursday that you can sign up for if you want more hand-holding, pretty much what we did today, if you want just a little more confidence going into it.